Yeah, I think I sacrificed on my personal life. Japan, the culture, the Japanese language itself is a very high context language. I was there for 12 years. I set up the company in around 17, 18 countries single-handedly.
So for someone who is not into studies and who doesn't like studies, you've done so much of work and so much of credible work.
Firstly, I didn't have any mentor.
Okay.
The CEO he was just financing that thing, but then everything he left it up to me to do it. Coming from Japan to India, so that aspect of me being an Indian really helped, of course, and then me being an Indian who knows Japanese really helped, especially people from like Darjeeling, NorthEast. I feel they will do good in learning the language and all this Japanese because of the grammar is same, the sentence pattern is the same, and the looks also helps, I think.
Bro, Japan जा रहा हूँ. Opportunities बहुत हैं वहाँ. Have you ever come across someone who said this to you? Japan is currently opening its doors to a massive number of foreign workers and creating a lot of job opportunities. But the real question is Japan really the next big destination for our youth, or are we just following a trend? Welcome to NorthEast Next, where we bring conversation from people of our own region who've stepped out, understood the system, and are now building careers on global stage. If you are someone who wants to understand these opportunities better and make well-informed decisions, you are at the right place. Our guest for today is Mr. Pasang Yolmo, someone who spent over 2 decades working between India and Japan, from companies like Oracle to leading global businesses at Macromill and building new ventures across multiple countries. His journey is not just about going abroad. It is about understanding their systems, their culture, adapting it, and making the best out of it and growing with it. Okay. So they would bring and then talk. So त्यहाँबाट पनि निकै सिक्थेँ मैले.
Because living in Japan, then you don't know what's happening in India in terms of the business aspects of that. Okay? That's why I try to follow all these podcasts to understand, because they talk about how to target the Gen Z to all that. Because so many things you could learn about India. So and since I do a lot of seminars in Japan, so then it's really good to gain your knowledge through this podcast. So yeah.
Now the podcast has become a very big medium to understand the current mind frame of people and understand how it is. मान्छेले के सोच्दैछ, the kind of people that are into, what kind of content are they into. So if you see, every content segment has a kind of podcast that they're making. Someone's making more about entrepreneurship, someone is making general, someone's calling like अब कोही influencers so उनीहरूलाई बोलाएर उनीहरूसँग उनीहरूको journey को कुरा गर्दैछ. So podcast has become a very big market अहिले.
Right? Podcast. Started by Steve Jobs, isn't it? You know the podcast.
Started by Steve Jobs.
No, the name podcast is it started with iPod.
Yeah.
So iPod, and then casting. So broadcasting to this one. So that's one iPod ko pod or broadcasting cast is a podcast.
There would always be this icon of podcast in the old that iPod also.
It started with iPods. Podcast.
Because the first time iPod came with the screen, it was a very big thing. We were quite young then. That iTouch.
Yeah. That was a later version,
quite later version. Yeah,
very small. Yeah.
Very small. I think the first one was that Shuffle.
That one.
Very small Shuffle. So, I now it's become very affordable. Very I wouldn't say affordable, but very doable, because now EMI schemes are there, you can finance, and everyone can buy an iPhone. But back then it would be very like something very great.
Just luxury.
Luxury.
And firstly, in the first place, even if you had money, you couldn't buy it in India, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, even if you can, there would be only specific stores which would sell. So I remember going to a M Planet. There was this
Planet M.
Planet M. Planet M.
Cassette tape.
Cassette tape. There they would sell this. In fact, in Siliguri City Center also, they had one small store. Planet M. Both poila. This is like way back.
Planet M was like, it was an experience at that time.
Very good experience at that time. Even you were into music, so that's
of course.
I still enjoy. I mean, of course, now so that trend is no more there. Everyone can download music and everything. But back then, going and buying CDs and reading about it would always have that cover
Cover,
in which they would write the songs that are there.
Yeah.
And even before that, there would be that cassette side A, side B.
Yeah.
So those are different.
Because I'm from Darjeeling, so the studio, sing studio, I'm like, so go and buy those cassette tapes and like, so, wow, I'm like, such an experience to like,
Do you think it'll come back? It's like there's so many things they keep coming back.
It's coming as I don't know. I don't know.
Like Paila.
LPs probably. Huh? It is coming. LP is like probably coming back.
Yeah, vinyl is coming back.
So yeah, sorry, vinyl.
Vinyl is coming back. Vinyl is coming back, and vinyl's become more of it's become like very classy thing to have a vinyl player, a vinyl, vinyl CD.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that cassette will come back. Rewinding that cassette. That also was.
When I learned guitar, so git we have to cassette tape, so stop it, sunyo, rewind, stop. That's how the ears got better, got trained.
Oh, okay.
Because of that, sorry, I always relate this to like my Japanese part. Okay. So a lot of people when I speak in Japanese, I mean, they don't feel very awkward or they feel at ease when they talk to me because probably it's the accent. Because accent is so important when you're speaking a language.
Yes.
So with my little musical background, so like I mentioned, because the ears got trained, so I try to emulate the sound accent. Because in a language, it's more about accent and intonation is so important, isn't it? Right? Mm-hmm. So in Japanese, a lot of people are very good, speakers like Indian mancheru. There's a MTI mother tongue influence, right? So ohayo gozaimasu, arigatou gozaimasu. The same, it's a very small thing, right? But if you say arigatou gozaimasu, ohayo gozaimasu, it sounds more natural.
Okay.
So that's probably I got it through my music thing. So to understand the tones and the intonation, that's very very important when speaking a language. It's not like what you speak is also very important, but how you speak the language is also very very important, I believe.
Do you think that gives an upper hand to people who can maybe understand the accent in which they speak, and then the people in Japan are also like more their ears are more willing to listen to what the other person is saying?
Yeah, definitely, because the thing is, if you speak in, because they feel more at ease, isn't it? Especially like people from like Darjeeling, NorthEast, I feel they will do good in learning good language and all this Japanese because of the grammar is same, the sentence pattern is the same, and the looks also helps, I think.
Okay.
So so a person from the Northeast would Mongolian. It's the same. Japanese also Mongoloids, right? The origin. So speaking Japanese in that accent will make them feel very at ease, especially because these days kaigo, which is like caregiving, it's very there's a lot of demand for that. Mm-hmm. So because the people that you take care of are very old people, isn't it? So when they see a Mongol-looking person speaking in that accent, so it's easy for them to accept.
It's easier for them.
So that's why. Suddenly I got into the serious topic.
No,
that's
course,
why the Indian government is looking at Northeast also for these kind of industries. Yeah.
But, firstly, I would really like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to sit and talk to you, because I know you were here for a very short span of time, but despite that, you could find the time to sit and talk. And before we even talk about the other things and all, professionally now, I have been a part of the organization that you've created for almost about 1.5 years.
Co-created.
Co-created. But then, your partners, like Mr. Preetham Thapa, Mr. Kobi Chetri, they've been like solid mentors to me. But unknowingly, you've also played a very important role in, inspiring or aspiring me, because I didn't know you, but I knew of you. So when I joined initially, and when I was getting trained, and when I heard, and when Kobida was talking to me about you, it really made me feel like I have to sit with him once and talk to him, because from what I learned is you didn't have a very conventional path. You are a very chill guy into music, but then you've achieved so much going outside and doing that. So thank you so much, genuinely. Thank you so much for coming and giving me the time.
No, thank you. It's the first time for me to do a podcast, so I know I'm very nervous. But then, COVID is, he exaggerates a bit, so and it's not as big as you think that I do. But yeah, somehow I'm just trying to make
But that's something that you've created is creating a lot of impact here, which we can see from here. I mean, like, of course, you knew that, and that's a vision that you had, and because of which maybe you started that point of time. But us being here physically, we can actually see the kind of impacts that it's bringing. So which kind of brings me down to the question that, like you said, that right now a lot of people are trying to go to Japan. They are knowing more about Japan. So do you think it's just because of a trend that now the Gen Zs are relating more to it and now they want to go there, so that's why they want to know more about it and go? Or do you think there's a substantial market or a actual business that you can create there?
Yeah, of course, there's definitely a market there in Japan, right? Because if we look at it more macro level, so Japan is still the fourth largest economy in the world. So there's, of course, a lot of potential in that market. But with regards to people from India and also people from NorthEast Darjeeling going to Japan, it's still, the numbers are very, very small. But I think right now it's maybe just a trend right now is what I feel, because anime helps a lot, right? So a lot of people are, and Japan is very, very an exotic country also. So there's a trend to it, but at the same time, how can I say? We're trying to, COVID and I, of course, Pitam Da, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring more awareness of Japan in terms of the fact that it is a country where you can build a career. But that awareness is I think people are not very aware of that fact. So they don't have much idea about Japan. Japan got a kids, there's a lot of things, right? So I don't know. I think it's a trend that's picking up, and I don't know how much. But there's definitely a lot of potential in Japan in terms of your career. But the only biggest hurdle out there is the language.
So as a student, if I'm a student from NorthEast, from Darjeeling, from Kurseong, from this part of the belt or anywhere per se. So if there's something that I should know, I mean, apart from language, because I think now it's a very known fact that if you want to go to Japan, you have to learn the language.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if there is one thing which is not very widely known, but you have to know this, then what would that be?
The image of Japanese is very polite. Very polite. This is but when you actually, if you're talking in terms of work, the work ethics is very, very high and very strong in Japan, right? And Japanese people are known for punctuality.
Yeah.
And when it comes to work, they're not very polite because it's very, very professional, right? So it's very difficult to work in Japan. So even if you know the Japanese language, but to understand, because Japan, the culture, the Japanese language itself is a very high context language, very high context. So it's not, when you say something, you might be saying something, I don't know, but actually the meaning is something different. So that part, to understand that is very, very difficult. So unless you spend time with the Japanese in Japan itself, so then you'll not be able to understand those nuances of the language. So
sometimes, in languages, there are certain languages where a small syllable can change the entire meaning of the word.
Right.
Is the Japanese language somewhat
that's
like that?
more in Chinese and Vietnamese where they have different tones.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Japanese, there's no tones.
Okay.
But it's very, very straight. But then it's how you speak at times that you can actually understand. Yeah, the fact that there's so many rules in Japan, and to understand those rules is difficult. Yeah, and that culture is very, very different. So that part is probably a bit different.
So usually a student, they when they start taking the Japanese language classes, they're taught the language.
Yeah.
But do you think they need to be more trained here before they actually go to Japan and start working there? Or is it okay that they learn the language and then their induction can take place in Japan itself?
Of course, they need to be trained very well in Japanese out here. Most of our students who are working out, we are introducing to companies in Japan, they study with us for a minimum of a year or so, which is not enough to learn the language. But it's not just language. It's more of, like I mentioned, the culture, how to work in Japan. That's very important. So we try and teach them that. No matter how much you try and teach, unless you go to Japan and experience, it's difficult to understand that.
Understand
yeah,
that.
but we have Japanese native teachers who try to who are teaching them those aspects. But yeah, language, culture, very very important, and how to work out in that environment is very important.
So when you say culture,
Yeah.
then apart from just being punctual,
Yeah.
what are the other things that you can actually teach them here and make them understand that this is something that you have to be very careful about?
One is, I don't know, there are two aspects. One is while you're working, and the other thing is when we are in your daily lives, right?
Something from your experience which maybe you felt that, okay, I thought of this to be something different, but once you went there, then you thought that, "Arey, yo to KR ke resa banne khal ke kya?" So something like that.
Well, just generally living in Japan, it's okay, one of the first things that comes to mind because of the rules, and they're very particular about a lot of things. It's one of the first things that the foreigners find difficult is when they throw the garbage, for example. Very very strict, right? So I don't know, the combustible should be in one parcel, the bottle should be another one, the cap should be somewhere else, the battery should be somewhere else, right? The plastic should be somewhere else. Okay? So and you throw this certain garbage on certain day, and garbage should be thrown on a certain day. And if I throw a combustible on a day that's not supposed to be thrown, it comes back to you on the next day, whatever.
Oh, they're that strict.
Yeah, very very strict also. Yeah. So culture, I don't know. It's not coming to my mind right now, but those. Well, I mean, rules rather, right?
Okay.
It's very...
So more than the culture is the kind of rules that they follow in their day-to-day life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, initially, of course, the culture also will come, but
Yeah.
initially, I think they need to be more aware about the rules.
Yeah, so we try to teach all the students that.
All the rules and everything. What is, from your perspective, what is that one misconception that a student has? Like usually when you meet a lot of students who are aspiring to go to Japan, so they all come with different aspirations. Someone wants to go there because of the place, someone wants to go there because of the education, someone wants to go there to work. So what is that one misconception that you've seen common in a lot of people, a lot of students?
That is not easy. Well, people go to Japan with because that, like you mentioned, anime and all that is so I know, because they have big buildings and anime and sushi, ramen, all that things there, right? A lot of students go there to work, to study. Sorry, so studying while working is very very difficult, and life's not easy. Is what I feel. Yeah, and also the Japanese language itself is so difficult that people sometimes then learning out here for a year or two they get confident, but when you go to Japan, it's like okay, you barely know even 1% of the language. So yeah, and if you don't know the language, then you can't go anywhere. You can't even buy a coffee, or I don't know, you can't even go to shopping and all that, right? So yeah.
Then how does one adjust to it? Like suppose if I'm a student now, I've gained the getting the certification, I feel that's technically easier than actually going there and talking to someone. Because getting the certification is still you're learning a certain set of things, a certain set of questions, and then you answer them and then you go. But if once I reach there and now I find myself that, okay, maybe I'm not that prepared and I can't have a conversation with someone, then how do I go about it from there?
Your personality and how you cope up with things is very, very important, right? So you have to be very proactive in trying to reach out to many people, communicate as see a lot of people when they go out, they have a fear of making the mistake when they speak, but then you should not you should not have that fear. Don't feel awkward at all to speak whatever you want. I mean, it's the practice is very very important, right? So because most of the students they go to Tokyo, Osaka, those big cities, and it's very very multicultural place, and even the Japanese out there, they're very very friendly also, like if you reach out to them. So it's just try to probably be more proactive. And
are they open to those mistakes? Other people from Japan, they're open, like they don't mind if someone's new, someone's struggling, or are they very rigid, like how can you speak like that, or how are they very rigid that way, or are they?
It depends. If you are generally, yes, I mean they appreciate a foreigner trying to learn the language and speak the language. They appreciate it, the language aspect, but then they don't appreciate if the foreigner does not follow the rules. But then people don't follow the rules at all. They throw the stuff out there everywhere, and just try to encroach the public property also and all that. So, and that is really making the Japanese people very irritated. There are many many places in Japan nowadays where the foreigners are not very welcome also.
Okay.
Because they're creating a lot of nuisance. for example, in the train, you speak loudly on the. That comes back to my your initial question about following the rules. Like in the train, people, a lot of people from from abroad. Non-Japanese people, they just speak on the phones or speak very loudly on the train. So that is a no out there,
Oh, okay.
Right. So they get irritated with those aspects. So you have to be very, very, very conscious of those.
So you can't take a phone call if you are on a public transport? Can you? Have you?
And not me, no.
You don't?
No, I don't.
So what if you get a call, so you text, maybe I'll call you a little later?
Yeah.
What about if you're walking on a street?
Walking on the street is fine.
Fine, okay.
And phones are all in silent mode.
Oh, so you won't hear a ringtone?
It's all in vibration mode, yeah. All the Japanese, they're also all silent mode. So if you hear a phone ringing, probably it's some foreign. Or if you hear someone speaking, probably it's a foreign speaking, yeah.
Is it like a ringing of phone is one of those moments like that unsaid rule?
Yes.
Where it's not a rule per se, but then no one does it. So if it happens to you, then you're like suddenly very awkward.
Well, in the train, for example, train buses, there's a priority sitting area. They've mentioned, please keep your phone in silent mode. It's mentioned, but generally it's not mentioned. But it's like an unsaid rule that it should not be on ringing mode, and you don't take calls.
You don't take calls. Yeah. There's also a conception. I don't know if it's actually true or if it's a misconception, but they say that like you said, that they're very highly professional. They're very professional in Japan when it comes to work. But it's also said that the Japanese there, when you work, so you get so engrossed in your work that you don't have time for anything else. And if you see like your, how do I put it? If I put it in a way like say happy quotient, then people are more frustrated and more, more in that rut of having to complete their targets, and it's more of a workaholic space, and you don't actually have time to enjoy life. Is this something which is true?
That's that used to be true. It is still true to a certain extent, but it's changed a lot, especially after COVID, because of this hybrid thing, right? So I never imagined that I'd be working from home in Japan someday. So I just work. I go to like office twice a week. Rest of the work, I'm at home, and that also it's very flexible timings. And I never imagined that Japan would have flexible timings. I can go to office at 11 o'clock, But it's really because there were certain incidents in I don't know, that's like 8-9 years back, where a lot of people died because overwork.
Okay.
Yeah, especially there was one incident with this company called Dentsu. I think it's an advertising company. So there was one person who committed suicide because of overwork. So because of that, Japan is facing the corporate. They're making very strict. They're very strict about not making people overwork. Yes. Yeah. So a lot of rules out there, and so it's really changing, and especially the new generation, the Gen Z, are they're not. They can't. They don't overwork like how Japan used to be before, and that's also one of the reasons why. See, Japan, there's something called lifetime employment system, where a person, after graduating, enters a company, and then he or she works in the company for the rest of his or her life. So it's called a lifetime employment system.
And is it like a government job where you cannot get thrown out? Is it like that?
Japan, you can't fire people. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to fire people. Yeah.
What if you don't do it right? What if
if you don't do it right, then they will compel you. They will compel you for you to resign. For example, I don't know. They will not give you any work.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's extreme, right? So that's the one. So yeah. But as per the rules, you can't fire an employee unless the company goes bankrupt or something happens to the company. Yeah.
Oh, right? Is it?
Yeah, you can't. It's very, very. The workers are very, very well protected.
It's something which we didn't know.
So they're very loyal to a company, and but now that's why the attrition rate and the people changing jobs it used to be very rare.
Very rare.
Used to be, but now with the new the new generation, it's becoming more common now. After 3 years, 4 years, people changing jobs is not uncommon these days.
But now that we've entered, talking about the corporate scenario there, I think it'd be right because you've had a very unconventional path to it. Right? I know it, but I would still want you to explain that, back then when Japanese was not even trending.
Yeah.
Today, if you ask a person, I'm sure, at least even for a tourist destination, Japan would still come in the top 5. Right? And even in academically or working purpose also, Japan is still coming as one of the destinations now. So now it's getting trendy. People know about it. People want to go there. But back when you completed your class 12 and you did a BA in Japanese language. So how did that happen? And then how did you, do your corporate, and how did you enter there? Why did you choose to go to Japan at that point of time? Nowadays, you have a lot of career counseling, and people like you are there who will very happily and very truly guide the students well. But back then, these amenities was not there for a student. So what made you decide at that point of time?
So I went to Delhi. Was fortunate enough to get through in this DU, Delhi University, in this college called SRCC, Sriram College of Commerce. So, which is, I think, till today the best college.
Undoubtedly.
So I studied there for a couple of months, but I was not very, very interested, because everyone's like such intellectuals out there, and first time going out of Darjeeling, you just try to have fun.
So you were good in studies back then also?
I wouldn't say I was bad in studies, but yeah, I was very careless. Yeah, I didn't like studying. I didn't like studying. But I got
for someone not like, if you didn't like study, you got into SRCC.
I mean, Delhi University is in North Delhi, and I wanted to do something different. And actually, my brother, I have a brother, elder brother. So even he was studying Japanese, and he had gone to Japan on he studied in Japan also. So that was one of the influences. But at the same time, I wanted to do something different. So like you mentioned, it's unconventional in my career. It's non-linear also. So, but my brother was dead against me, joining Japanese. That was in JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. So he said SRCC is much better. But because it seemed like a very exotic thing. I didn't know what I would do after learning Japanese, because like you mentioned, at that time, there's nothing. I mean, we couldn't think about making a career with Japanese, because there were hardly any Japanese investments back in 1997.
So when you got into the course, at that point, so usually when we enter a course, we have something in our head, right? There's something like some aspiration because of which you want to achieve that. It doesn't matter even if you do it or you don't. Nowadays, we see that people who have studied something, they're doing something completely different. Back then, did you have something in your head?
Absolutely no. I had absolutely no. I had no. Till today, I don't have any ambitious dreams. I just go with the flow, is what I say. Right? I just followed my heart, did what I wanted. But then, whatever I did, I tried to do it sincerely. Yeah, especially after work. My corporate life. So so Japanese was there. So I did my BA in Japanese. My big brother was his name is Temba. He's a very big influence. He's like a different level. He's like he's the what do you say? I'm the black sheep of the family. But then somehow it's worked out. So I did Japanese for 3 years, and then I went to Bangalore. Worked in this company called Oracle. It's something Japanese related, because at that time a lot of these Japanese companies were outsourcing a lot of their processes to India. So even the Oracle Japan was outsourcing it. So then I was there for a year and a half, I think.
So you were in the Japanese process?
Yeah, Japanese process, quality of that company. And but then, after 1.5 years, it got very boring. So I didn't want to work at that time. I was probably 24, 25. And then I thought maybe I would want to go to Japan. So then I applied in this university called APU, Ritsumeikan University. Asia Pacific University. So unfortunately, I got a 100% scholarship.
Okay.
So I went there. But then, after going there, I thought, okay, everyone has this, we, watch Hollywood movies. We see, students like in college, studying and then part-time. I thought that was like, I really wanted to, experience that. But then when you actually do it, like I mentioned a little bit some time back, it's very difficult to study and work at the same time, and support yourself. In Japan, there's like, if you go to a university, then there are 2 major holidays. One is the spring break and one is the winter break. So it's like 2 months each. So what people usually, there are a lot of people from Nepal out there, some from India. So what usually people do is they go to big cities like Tokyo and Osaka for these 2 months. They really, really work hard, right? So they work and do a lot of part-time jobs. Well, I don't know whether I should be saying that. As per the rules, you are only allowed to work 28 hours a week.
Okay.
But you work more than that and then earn some money and go back to the university. So, but I also, after 1 semester, I went to Osaka. I thought I'd maybe work out there. Then fortunately, I happened to one of my friends introduced me to this company's accounting firm, and I started working there as a part-time, employee for 2 months, because that company wanted to set up the company in India. So while I was was doing that the CEO liked my work or whatever. And then, then I went to India on a business trip with them. And then, I did all the, the meetings and everything. I was about 26 years old at the time. And maybe he saw something in me, I don't know. And he's like, just quit the job. I'll give you all the responsibility of India. So yeah, this is 2006, 7 February. So then, then he gave me the responsibility of opening this company in India. So we opened the first Japanese consulting company in India, in Delhi. So that company was in accounting. So we thought we'd go to India and provide accounting and taxation services to Japanese companies, because in India the taxation account is very, very complicated, very difficult, and it's beyond the comprehension of the Japanese companies. So we wanted to provide these services in Japanese. So that was our forte. Differentiation as compared to other companies. So then we went there. I went there. I remember it's like, I think June, midsummer in Delhi. He had given me around, I don't know what's that, in today's rupees, like 15 lakh rupees out there to start this company right from scratch. So that's when we started. And then after we went there in 2007, there were around 220 Japanese companies there. Then at that time. Back then? Yeah, in 2007. Currently, there are 1,500 Japanese companies.
220 back then, that's still a lot.
Yeah, 220, and now 1,500. And Japan is, I think, the 5th largest investor in Japan, right? Yeah. And India right now. And but then we realized there's a requirement, there's a demand for a lot of other services. So we started right from market entry strategy to company incorporation to real estate, accounting, taxation, legal, audit. So we ended up making this end-to-end consulting service. So we started in Delhi. And then after that, I expanded to Chennai, Bangalore, and Mumbai. And then, I personally was involved in helping around 100 Japanese companies to set up in India. So I looked at that setup after that setup for around 4 years. And then after that, then he thought, okay, let's do the similar kind of thing in other countries. So I left India. Then I went to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam. I stayed all these places. And finished in Southeast Asia. I finished the setup of all these companies in these countries, and I went to Dubai. That's where I met my wife. And then from Dubai, I started in Africa, in Russia, and Turkey, and so And at the end of 11, I was there for 12 years. I set up the company in around 17, 18 countries single-handedly.
So for someone who is not into studies and who doesn't like studies, you've done so much of work and so much of credible work. And especially when you say that you've done BA in Japanese language. Yeah. So you've done BA in Japanese language, that means you've studied the language, right?
Yeah.
But what you've done practically is global expansion.
Yeah.
Right. And that too in fields which not at all related to what you've done.
Right.
You started by saying that your initial services was taxation and accounting, which is again from a commerce background.
Right.
But then slowly you got you spoke about how you expanded those services across those 220 companies back then, out of which 100 you've overseen, and expanded that across India, and then expanding it in the global level.
Yeah.
So, as someone who studied the language, how did you gain the expertise, or did at any given point of time, did you feel like, how am I supposed to do this? Was there any mentor? What are the kind of things that went in your head that made you do such a huge job despite not having any?
Firstly, I didn't have any mentor. Okay. The CEO just, he was just financing that thing, but then everything he left it up to me to do it. I learned the Japanese, but then Japanese, it just means just a tool for you to do things, right? Because of that, I can communicate with the Japanese companies, right? So that's just one aspect of it. But then when you do a business, communication is so, we were talking again sometime back, communication is so important, right? And in business, negotiation is so important. So we, from India, with our Indian backgrounds, and I lived in Delhi and all this Bangalore, other places. So every day is a struggle, but there's a negotiation and thing is required everywhere, isn't it? Right? So I think that's really, really helped me, right? And also in India, there's so many different cultures, right? Exactly. Like when studying in Delhi, then you meet people from South India, from Northeast India, from Mumbai, so many different cultures. So I think you build that, the quality to reach to, to be able to
communicate with
right, to different people. So So coming from Japan to India, so that aspect of me being an Indian really helped, of course, and then me being an Indian who knows Japanese really helped. So in the OJT months, and there's on the job training. So through that, with my negotiation, and I think I'm a bit good. I think maybe I'm all right with communication and people building skills. So those are the two skills that actually helped me to build business. And because I had that small experience in India, that really helped me when I was expanding it to other countries also. And I don't know, maybe, and Southeast Asia, the Japanese, there's a very good Japanese, they're very not pro-Japanese, but then good relationship with Japan, right? And with my certain looks, probably they think that I am also Japanese.
Yeah, you kind of look like Japanese only. And so I think now the way you talk and like you said that the pronunciation and enunciations that you have, I'm sure, I mean, like if someone would say that you're from Japan, I think people will believe.
I mean, yes, I don't know. That's a big compliment to me at the times when I speak with Japanese people. After speaking with them, they feel I'm Japanese. That's a big compliment for me. Yeah. But yeah, it's not just the language; also the body language also very important, right? Mm-hmm. But anyways, coming back to that, so to my previous company, so that the thing about communication, negotiation, people building skills really helped me to understand. And with regards to taxation, accounting, that I sikihalcha, right? So then I think as Indians we are very. We can adjust. We can survive anywhere. Is what I feel. Yeah. If I can work in India, then I think it's not very difficult to work in other parts, any part of the world. But then going to Africa and Nigeria and Kenya was a bit difficult because of the certain things like security aspect was there.
So when you're expanding your company in these multiple countries, I'm sure each country has their own traditions, own kind of people, own culture. So how important, let me put it this way, what are the key aspects that you need to remember? Like see, once you do it in one place, you kind of have a skeleton. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing there. But of course, you need to tweak it a bit according to whichever place you're doing it. So what are those like key pointers which are the same that you follow, be it any country?
When you go to a new country, then, you can't do things by yourself, right? Of course, you need local people, you need good partners, right? And to a partner, Japanese company, when they go to a new country, it's very mechanical, very robotic time.
Okay. Transactional.
That's the word, transactional. So, but then I feel that at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? So we need that connect with each other, right? So that's why I don't know. I try to build relationship with people.
Okay.
It makes it easier to do business with them, is what I feel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I try to, before meeting a person from another country, I try to do my research about, not about the company, of course the company, but then about that history about that country, about the geography, the other aspects not related to business of that country. And then in the conversation, build and ask questions to them. It's not just business, build that relationship through, be curious to understand them and that you are interested in them. Okay. Is what I think is what I do.
So I think personal relation is
I think
that's the most important
personal
thing.
relation is very important, I think. Yeah. I'm sorry, I haven't really thought about this in this way, but I think that's...
But I think for you, personal relations worked.
Yeah.
Right? Building a personal relation everywhere you've gone.
Yeah.
I think that way it's helped you.
Yeah.
So the kind of CV, let's say the kind of journey you had, from your studying time to wherever you are today, for a business graduate, for someone who's into management, it's a very ideal CV. Right? People would want to do that, would want to replicate it. But we all know that everything comes with a cost. After sacrifice So for you specifically, what do you feel that, maybe this thing is something that I had to sacrifice. I don't know if you've thought about it or not, but along the way, something which you missed out on something.
Yeah, I think I sacrificed on my personal life. So when I was working with that company, that Japanese consulting firm, so I started that company, and it was, I feel as if it is my company, right? So there's a lot of in Japanese, I'm forgetting in English. Aichaku is
attachment,
to that company. So that was there. So then I wanted to make that company as big as possible. Expanded company. Really wanted to do it. I didn't care about the salary or whatever. I just had it aimed that I should make the best company and make it bigger. And so I was there for 12 years. So then I was literally living out of a suitcase, right? So I didn't have any I don't know, for that 10 years, whatever. I mean, 8 years rather. 4 years I was in India. Then after that, I went out. So I didn't have any, there was no fix. I was a vagabond going all these places. So that's why, it was a very good experience, of course, professionally really nice. But yeah, I think I missed out a lot on my personal life is what there's no regrets at all. But if I was to say that, probably, yeah, I just thought about, I thought about more about the company rather than myself, which is probably a best employee to have. But then I could do it because it was in my late 20s and 30s. But yeah, I think, but no regrets. But yeah, I don't think I've missed out on anything apart from that.
So given the chance, you would still do it?
I would do it, yes, of course.
Would do it again.
Come on, you're in the late 20s or early 30s, and then you can just go about doing you are given a free hand to do whatever you want and go to different places, and that's, of course, it's not something that is probably another company would not have given this opportunity.
Yeah, but I feel it's like for a few, that way even I'm quite similar.
Yeah.
So I think for people for people who fuel their passion, whose passion is to work,
yeah,
I think for them it's not much of a regret later on.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you feel like right now I'm putting you on a spot and asking you a question. But I think given it, you would do it again.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Everything.
But right now I'm in a very good place, right?
Yeah,
I'm working with another Japanese company, right? I work in Tokyo right now.
Okay.
So I'm looking after the global business strategy of a company. So it's more towards the West now, towards Europe and US, like Silicon Valley and all that. So it's a different industry also and different thing altogether. So of course I need to travel, but then I have a balanced personal life in Tokyo with my wife. So yeah, but my experience in whatever I did before, it really helped me to.
I think that's what gave you the liberty to have this now.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, I mean, without that experience, maybe you wouldn't.
And also, like you said, because I just, whenever people ask me in Japan, I'm just an Indian who can speak in Japanese, what I say. I never really give importance to qualification, having degrees. Of course, you should have a minimum degree, but then apart from that, MBA or whatever, I never really thought much about it. I didn't think it was important. But then after working for a certain number of years, so because I did it all with my own instinct, with my own gut feeling, whatever, right? But then I felt the need to understand what's the theory behind it, I know, like economics, accounts, HR, human, whatever, management and strategy work. So I thought by myself, but of course I listened to a lot of podcasts and interviews of the people like Steve Jobs or whatever. But I wanted to have that theoretical and
practical knowledge.
Knowledge also. So that's why at the age of 43, I went to for MBA school. Yeah, there was a university in Japan called Tsukuba University. It's a national university. So then I did pursue my MBA. And,
so you pursued your MBA quite later in your life?
Quite very late in my life, yeah.
Why did you feel the need to pursue your MBA then? Is it because you had to climb the corporate ladder? No. I really don't vie for that. But it's more of, people have... one of the main reasons people think about doing MBA is also about the connections network also, right? Yeah.
But for me, it was like I mentioned, it's just that I had a curiosity to understand things to understand the theory behind the things that I did. So that's why I did my MBA in global business.
So it is basically because you wanted to know. I mean, you wanted the knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the degree.
Yeah.
How much does a degree value? I mean, say in India. I mean, things have changed a lot now, right? Right now, there's a very I don't know. I mean, I can call it an unpopular opinion, but also now it's quite trending that MBA degrees and all, they're not worth it. And so there's two sides to it, right? There is a certain group of people who say that it's still worth it. There's a certain group of people who say that MBA is not really worth it now because entrepreneurship has boomed so much in the last 5 to 6 or maybe last 10 years that everyone thinks that if you hustle hard and if you're hustling at the right place, you can make it. Right, but again, there's one section of the society which hustles right in the corporate sector of the country. Now, in order to climb the corporate stairs, you need to have certain kind of degree after a certain level. So if you want to reach at the top management level, you need to have certain kind of experience, a degree. So in that context, if you see Japan as a country, how highly do they value the degree?
Just to add to what you said, especially now with AI, people think that even a degree is not required, is what they say these days, right? But Japan MBA is not valued very highly. Yeah, that's called because after generally it's Japan is a very egalitarian society. It's a very flat, Usually people start working from after university, and it doesn't matter what stream you are in them, the commerce and the arts. Okay, it doesn't matter at all. Even if you are a musical background or a commerce background or arts background, they all start with the same job profile at the same level all to everyone. Okay. So there's not much value about degrees. Like MBA degrees in Japan, like in the US or I don't know, Australia or other countries. Yeah.
But if a student, like a lot of students are going to Japan to study as well.
Yeah.
So if a student goes to Japan and pursues a degree, be it in maybe engineering or be it in anything, be it an MBA, how highly is it valued in the global market?
In the global market?
Yeah, in the global market.
Of course, global market, it's MBA degree, it has a certain status.
No, but if you're doing it from Japan.
Japanese universities, like, there are renowned universities like Kyoto University, Tokyo University, but even for those universities, I think it's more of engineering or physics or whatever that's more popular. The MBA, but then there are certain other universities. I think there's one called IUJ, International University of Japan, whatever. It's there. I think globally, it's Japan goes. My MBA is not very, very well known.
It's not very.
But coming back to the other question about how highly is degree valued in Japan. Japan, a lot of foreign companies out there, right? If you want to work in a foreign company in Japan, then it's really, really important. It's very high.
So then,
and working in a foreign company in Japan the salary is much higher than working in a Japanese company.
Okay.
Yeah, because Japanese company it's like a Japanese company it's like a government kind of job, type salary high it's stable.
Okay.
But foreign company it's very volatile, very salary high the higher fire but that's for Japanese people. But for people like us, from foreigners going there, so there's a separate salary bracket altogether, not like the Japan, but higher than probably the Japanese.
Okay, so the immigrants have a higher salary bracket?
Yes, it depends on what industry or category you're working or what level you're working at. Yeah.
I would want to ask that question right now, since now we're talking about the corporate thing. You said that layoffs hudaina. You don't fire a person. Now, like in the world, when you see, so when financially a company is burdened, the first thing that they do is lay off.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that is if it's possible. If they see that they can make do, say, if they have 10 people in a team, they can make do with maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 4 or 5, they'll let go of the others. Now, if laying off is not allowed or it doesn't happen in Japan, how do they deal with the financial burdens then?
See, layoff is, as per the rule, it's not allowed, but there are different ways to do it, right?
Okay.
They give you voluntary retirement plan.
Okay.
So they give you 6 months salary or 1 year salary. So they offer you that.
Okay. And then they ask you to resign.
Yes. Okay. And but then they can't, but then they can only.
I mean, they can't say like you're fired.
Yeah.
That they can't.
They can just request you to, do that, but yeah. But then usually people, they take that. Because with that voluntary whatever retirement plan and all that, they also, apart from giving you like 6 months or 1 month salary, they also give you HR placement firms tie up. They'll ensure that you get a job in the next whatever.
Okay, so they'll refer you.
Refer you also, right?
Refer you.
And refer as in that those HR placement companies are tied up with they have a contract with them, right? At the same time, the government really protects the people. So if you're out of a job, then I think they'll give you around 60-70% of your last salary for 6 months or sometimes even more. And 6 months or all that is ample to good enough time for you to get another job.
Is it that the government protects their people or is it also the immigrants?
Immigrants, yeah. Everyone, because once you start working in Japan, they have certain taxes you have to pay, like residence tax, income tax, pension. There's pension also in private companies in Japan, and employment tax and all that. And for me right now, it's caregiving tax also, because after 40, you have to give that old age allowance thing also.
Okay.
So if you are paying those if you're paying those taxes, then the government protects you. And also, so I'm a little away from topic. If you work in Japan for 2 years and you pay those taxes, then then after that, if you want to pursue like a degree or whatever, the government supports you for 50% of tuition fees also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that means it's quite a place for a person who, I mean, a person can actually think of going there and building an entire career, being supported by the government.
It's called reskilling. There's certain reskilling programs. Okay, I didn't know that when I was doing MBA. So after I came to find later on. But there's even for like these days is AI skills and whatever for this reskilling programs. Okay, so there's a lot of facilities and subsidies given by the government to everyone who's working out there in Japan.
And it doesn't matter if you're an immigrant as well.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
So as long as you're there, you've worked for a certain time, you can ask, and if you want to reskill yourself, you're allowed to do that.
You can do
and it can be in any field?
Any field. Certain categories, industries where it's applicable. Not all the fields,
The reason that I wanted to sit and, have this elaborate discussion with you is try to understand why students are, why the trend is shifting towards Japan. And is this only a trend or is there something substantial, like I said at the start of the podcast? But now, why this thing is happening now? Why not before? I mean, it can be because of the lack of information also. But we know that there's a treaty signed between the government of India and the government of Japan, right? Under which they've opened TITP, SSW. Right? So why are they doing this now? I mean, they signed it in 2017. Right? So why after 2017?
I don't know why the government decided to do that. But if you look at, firstly, if I give you the background, of course, Japan is an aging society, right? There's a dearth of manpower. Manpower is getting, kamti hundesa. So, they need people from countries like India to fill in that gap of that manpower, right? And if you look at the overall, Japan's population is 125 million.
Okay.
And Japan is one of the least immigrant, unfriendly countries in the world. Till a couple of years back, only 2.52 or 2.55% was immigrant population. If you compare it to US, probably is around 15-16%. UK is like around same 70-80%. Australia is around 30%, whatever, right? But Japan was always 2%. But finally, it's 3% now. So I think there are around 4 million people, 4 million foreigners living in Japan. 4 million, finally 4 million. Out of which 2.5 million are in the workforce, which constitutes around 4% of the working population in Japan. I think around 65 million people working in Japan. But 2.5 million people, but 70% of, too much statistics, 70% of that 2.5 million are from China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and Nepal.
Okay.
Yeah, these 5 countries make up 70% of the
immigrant working population.
Immigrant population, which is, and this 70% is not in the corporate.
Okay.
It's more in the blue collar sector.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why, and TITP was one of the means where the government was bringing people from these countries, right? So now. I wouldn't say it's saturated, but nowadays Chinese people in that blue collar, they've stopped coming to Japan because China itself is developing and there's so much of, the salary is much higher in China apparently. And Vietnam, kati bit high, so Southeast Asia, kati country. So then they also thought about India because in Japan, India has always had very good relationships, right?
Yeah.
In terms of bilateral, trade, diplomatic relationships, right? In fact, India was the first country that Japan gave the OD back in 1950. So obviously, India 1.4 billion population, and Indians image in Japan is very very high. Indians very very intelligent, very good with numbers, and so they have a very high regard for Indians. So that's why I was Southeast Asia where the next thing was in India because of so much of good workforce, quality manpower. Because of that, I think was the reason why Japanese government and Indian government decided to sign this treaty. And also because like I mentioned before, the Japanese investments is increasing in India. There's 1,500 Japanese companies, right? TITP is basically a transfer of skill, right? So the trainees come to Japan for a period of 3 years, and then they are supposed to learn the skill and go back to the home country and then work in the manufacturing, whatever sector out there, and whereby you increase the level of that to country go skill labor also.
So TITP means basically you mostly have blue collar jobs only?
Yes, yeah. There are, I think, around 14 industries. And the most popular ones are manufacturing, construction, fishery, food processing, and now it's caregiving also. So yeah, it's mostly blue collared. And they're supposed to come to Japan for after 3 years, they have to go back to the country, to the home country. There are many of our interns, trainees, so they've completed 3 years and the company wants them to continue. But then they have to go back once
and then come back
and then they come back, yeah. Because हाम्रो कति भाइ बहिनीहरु they're doing very well. And then एउटा भाइ थियो, he's from Jormunglo. He completed his 3 years and then they gave him like a better offer, better position and a lot of other perks also. So he's come back to in Japan again now. So if you do well, so of course there's a lot of a lot of potential opportunity there.
And how is it different from SSW?
SSW might say now this is all changing now, right? TITP started in India it started in 2017. But China or I think much more 20 or 25 years back it started. Now but TITP now is they're not abolishing, they're changing a system from TITP to some other new system from 2027. TITP, I don't know. It didn't have a very good image because there was a lot of abuse of manpower, abuse. I don't know. I'm not a negative thing, but there were no proper rules and regulations to control certain the work-life balance or
standardization thing.
So but it depends on the company also, right?
Okay.
But then they can only image so down they want to they want to streamline the processes, everything. So from next year it's changing to a different system. I mean, of course the baseline is the same, but they're making it much more easier for the people who come from different countries to work out in Japan. Yeah. So the difference between TITP and SSW is TITP Technical Internal Training Program. SSW is specified skilled worker. Okay. So TITP might say if you learn Japanese, there are certain level of Japanese. Okay? N1, 2, 3, 4, 5 N being the highest, right? So N5 5. If you have N5 pass, then you are eligible to apply. And of course, eligible to apply, and then it depends on the interview with the company, right? So SSW might say it's a specified skilled worker around there. So the number of category industries is also a bit limited. But then the students need to have, I think, N4 level. And they need to pass that exam for those specific industry that you're going to. Okay. For example, we send a lot of people in caregiving and accommodation, and also I think accommodation. So they need to pass the exam, which is customized for that industry. And the other thing in SSW is you can unlike TITP, it can be extended. Like if firstly you come on a 1-year visa, so it's renewed every year, so you can stay for 5-10 years also. But so no need to go back to the home country.
Okay.
The TITP is you have to go back. And there was also one stipulation in TITP whereby when the person comes to Japan, then he or she needs to be are allowed to work only in that company. But from next year, they're making it, they're changing this. So once you come here, after a year, if you don't like it, you can change to any other company also.
Okay.
So they're changing that one rule also. Okay. Yeah, so SSW would say, probably those are the main differences.
So if a student wants to come there and wants to work there, be it in TITP or SSW, so what should he or she expect? Like, eventually you're working to earn money, right? Yeah. And like you said, that there's a lot of blue collar jobs. And if someone would want to go there and work in a blue collar job industry, that means that person needs to work to upgrade their lifestyle, right? Work hard enough so that they can make ends meet at home. The trend is like that, right? Because someone who can afford a lavish place where you can go and study and then get the best of the degree and then go to other places, I feel that section of the students will not opt for TITP, right? Or even SSW as a matter of fact, right? So there's a certain section of students which want to go and apply and then do the jobs and create a good life for them. So unarko lagi reality ma chai what kind of opportunities are there financially? Like what is the projection like? How much can they earn? How much what is till where can they earn? Or is there a capping
so TIT or
TITB and SSW both?
So the reason why firstly Kobit and I we started VSL was because we wanted to firstly I had really wanted to promote Japanese in Darjeeling first, right? And then also to introduce people that Japan there's you can make a career out there, because a lot of people, I mean, from that section that you mentioned was like they go to Middle East countries, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, I don't know, in Hong Kong to work in there. But I've also seen it by myself. The working conditions is not very, very good. But in Japan, there's a dignity of labor, and the working conditions is very good also, right? And the quality of life is also very good. So that's why I thought that people from Darjeeling, NorthEast would do good out there. So to your question, firstly, the Japan have a minimum wage, so I think as per the prefecture, there are 47 prefectures in Japan. Prefecture is like a state in India. So as per the prefecture is a bit different. So in Tokyo, in places like Tokyo, Osaka, obviously it's higher. But generally it's like around 1,000 yen per hour, which is like around 600 rupees.
Per hour.
Per hour, that's the minimum wage. So for a normal TITP probably it will be Japanese yen 150,000 yen. So 1 lakh yen, which means 1 lakh rupees.
Okay.
Starting Teo probably on 1.3, 1.5 lakh. And then the accommodation is very subsidized. Probably it's like around 6,000 rupees a month. And depending on the company, they give you facilities like food and the sort of accommodation from Munsa. So that depends on the company. So that's there. But there's a lot of tax that needs to be paid. So which is usually around 25-30%.
Okay.
But in India, when you say 25-30% tax, it's like just the tax it goes, but then there's nothing comes back.
Yeah.
But then in Japan, I say that say is 30%. If you earn say 100 yen, so 30 yen is deducted, right? But that 30 yen deduction is like residency tax, income tax, then you have pension, welfare, medical insurance. So everything is covered in that 30%. Okay? So medical insurance is all covered. So once you're covered, then you just need to pay 30% of whatever bill. And you've got pension also. So pension cards. Okay? So if you work in Japan for 10 years, then you're eligible to get that pension. And for the rest of your life, we can get the pension after you're 60 or 65. So yeah, so that taxation part is there. But then so probably in hand, 70 minimum around probably 70,000 rupees, 70,000 rupees in hand. You can start with that amount.
So that means if your salary is 1 lakh,
yeah,
70,000 is what you get in hand.
1 lakh yen, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, that's what you get. If you say, because generally 1.4, 1.5 lakh yen, the Indian rupees probably, which is like 1 lakh rupees. But then after tax deduction, whatever, probably around 60, 70,000 rupees. Starting onwards.
Starting.
Yeah. And after that is based on your lifestyle, how you spend that money.
Okay.
So a lot of our so with that, of course, they send money back home. Some are supporting the family. You cook by yourselves or whatever, then that's how you save the money also, right? But then that's where you start.
And then how does the graph look like? How, like if you're starting at say 1 lakh rupees, then how much time will a student take to finally get to the next step? Maybe from 1 lakh to say 1 lakh 20, 25,000, or maybe 1 lakh 30 or more 150. So how does it look? Kati time लाग्छ होला?
Japan मा के त्यो salary increase हुँदैन के? Yeah, because Japan is like के भन्छ it's like very minimum 1-2% generally.
Okay.
It's there was no inflation in Japan. Okay. For the last 30-40 years there was no inflation. It's like rather it was like deflation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's good for the people.
It's good for the people, right? Finally, I think 1 or 2 years back, finally got the inflation, the prices bought this. Okay. They were able to maintain, the people were able to maintain the lifestyle how they used to do it, live like 30 years back. So now all these bought this. Okay. त्यही कारणले गर्दा कम्पनीजहरूले पनि अलिकति बढाउँछ स्यालेरी. But then I can't give you a definitive answer about how if you want to jump from 1 lakh to 120 lakhs, 20,000. I don't know, but the way is to, I mean, generally people come as in the lower level, right? So workers and so. Then obviously there's supervisor also, you know. Then in order to step up, probably if you jump to that supervisor level, then you can obviously get more money. And then I see a lot of people from Vietnam and China who are in that level also. Okay? But for that, you need to have good language command.
Language.
Yeah, that's very important.
So you need to understand. I mean, you need to be good in the language.
Yeah. Yes. And now, because because since you can change jobs,
okay.
So maybe by changing jobs, probably you can.
So usually, like in India, also if you change a job, then a certain percentage of salary hike is a mandate.
Yeah.
Ki त्यति hike to huncha huncha. So Japan ma pani is it like that?
Yes.
So if you shift from one company to other,
it's becoming it's changing these days now. Yeah.
So if so, you said that SSW is different, TITP is different. We know that. SSW ma also there's Kaigo, which is caregiving.
Yeah.
And TITP ma also there's Kaigo, which is caregiving. So if a student goes to TITP, like goes for Kaigo through TITP pathway, or if the student goes to Kaigo through the SSW pathway, do the salaries differ?
Yeah, generally SSW ma alik salary base huncha. Kinamane they've passed a certain test criteria, special test to do that. They can generally alikati jada huncha. Yeah. And SSW ma this I think SSW1, SSW2, there are 2 categories.
Okay.
And Kaigo especially is a exception where people can stay after 5 years. I think they can bring your family also, and after 10 years they can apply for PR and all that also. Yeah. So alikati difference. It's better in terms of salary and overall benefits also is better.
So if a student is aspiring to go there, what do you think is the safest pathway? Because what we are trying to create here is again is awareness. Kina aba hamro daju bhai bahini didi sabaijanaलाई if they get informed well, because unemployment is a very big problem. And it's a problem which is only going to increase. We are not seeing any corporate boom here, or so, not just that, also sometimes kati jana huncha that they are not able to get that quality of education. Maybe like they skip out on the golden period of their life. पढ्नु सकेको हुँदैन, कति जना class 10 pass हुन्छ, कति जना class 12 pass हुन्छ, कति जना पढेर पनि केही गरेको हुँदैन. So for them to have the right knowledge, so that the least they can do is empower themselves, कि गएर काम गरेर they can uplift their lifestyle as well as the family's lifestyle. So what do you think is the safest pathway for them to go to Japan and have this opportunity of getting an upgrade to their entire life?
Yeah, well, TITP is an easy way to go where you can go and earn money. But what I've seen is, I don't know, on the BTK, then you get so busy with your work and all that your Japanese language aspect takes a backseat. And then after 2 or 3 years, the language is not really good also. I mean, they've not improved so much. Hang on. Okay, the safest pathway probably would be, because if you look at numbers, TITP overall India, I think they've just around, how many people have gone till now from India? Not even 2,000, I think.
Not even 2,000.
Yeah. The total number is around, I don't know, so it's still very, very small. Nepal, so Nepal is the 4th largest diaspora in Japan. So 5 years back, there used to be around 80,000-90,000 Nepalese, but now it's crossed 2.45 lakhs. And most, I wonder if you say the safest, I mean, the most common way for them to come is to go on a language school.
Okay.
So you learn Japanese, say, in Nepal for 6 months or so, and get a N5 level padhe, and then you enter into a Japanese language school, and which is generally 6 lakh rupees per year, and it's generally for 2 years. So manseharu, they come to Japan to study language, and while you study, then you work and you support yourself. So 2 years, and after 2 years, then depending on your qualification and your Japanese language also level, then you can apply for jobs,
Okay.
right? But it's very depends on that person, right? But then also what people do, what I've seen is after 2 years living in Japan, learning the language, they are good enough in Japanese, and next they go to a vocational school.
Okay.
Yeah, vocational schools are usually for 1 or 2 years. So in the specific industry that you want to go, right? Sometimes a lot of engineering mounts, so fashion mounts, so anime cooking mounts. So you get that specific skill for 1 or 2 years, and then you apply for a job. Is what I've seen the trend with a lot of people from Nepal.
So this is the safest pathway.
Yes, if you want to look at a long-term progression,
Long-term, yeah.
that's probably be better. And also, if we have a college degree, that's much better because you were talking about a degree, a qualification in Japan. The minimum qualification required to apply for a company is degree, university degree, college degree.
College degree.
Yeah.
So suppose graduation gareko sa. So you've already spent 3 years in your life.
Yeah.
Now you want to pursue a career in Japan.
Yeah.
So now again going there and studying for another 2 years of language.
Yeah.
Then again another 2 years or maybe a year of vocational training. That means another 3 years. So that's a total of 6 years.
I mean, 2 plus 2, 4, minimum 4. I mean, 2 plus at least 1, minimum 3 years, I think, yeah.
So then, so it will take that much amount of time, right? गर्ने पर्यो त्यो चाहिँ.
See, it also depends on, generally, probably 95% of Japanese companies would require Japanese language.
Okay.
But then it is also changing. Like, I don't know whether you've heard of this company called Rakuten.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Rakuten, right? So they're very big.
They are sponsors to Barca.
Oh yeah, of course, Barca. yeah. So they're like big. They have like 70 or 80 companies within Rakuten. Okay. So they've made English as the official language in Rakuten.
Okay.
So the Japanese is not required. Even Nissan, the automobile company, they've English is their official language.
Okay.
So there are a lot of companies who don't require Japanese, and a lot of these foreign companies also don't require. But that's very, very. I mean, not few number percentage wise. That's very less. Very few, but yeah, generally Japanese commands on the parts. Yeah.
So if you're the students ko kura bhai, but sometimes I've come across people that they are graduates, they've already done their graduation, they're working in the corporate sector. Now, because of the life and because of the kind of because of a perception that they have about Japan, they want to go to Japan and work there. So is it possible for them, a working individual who's already here? See, because why I'm specifying on this is because I've come across people like that. But the problem is, just learning language, say online classes गरेर, some or the other way you can find, and you get a basic course on your language and get say N5, N4 पनि लु गरे. But that person will not have the time or the liberty at that age and with that much experience to go and then again do a language school for 2 years, then again get a vocational training. So उनीहरुको लागि, is there any way to migrate to Japan?
I see. If it's IT, it's very easy.
IT is very easy.
Yeah. Software engineers in India, Indians are known for software skills. So it's a lot of people. I was talking to Rakuten. They're like hiring. There's so many Indians working out there. People even if you don't, you don't need Japanese to work there. So IT is one industry probably where even if you don't have Japanese, then you can go and work in Japan. But of course, if you know Japanese, then you'll get better IT jobs, also more managerial.
Okay.
So IT is one industry that I can think of, but I don't know others. I'm sure there must be, but I can't think of any right now. But
So it's basically either you are in IT, corporate sector, ma also just IT, or like other sectors also, like accounting is there and the consulting is there and
accounting, consulting.
You have to have Japanese as your core language.
That's the reason why when I mentioned to you that 70% of the foreign working population is from these 5 countries who are mostly into blue collar. So that's one of the reasons why Japan, they're not able to attract the mid-level, the corporate people, manager level people, because of the language barrier.
Because of the language barrier. Otherwise, I am sure. And what about the companies? What about, like you said, that there are a lot of foreign companies which have their base in Japan. What about those companies?
Those companies.
Do you still need Japanese language?
Well, I mean, as per the job profile, sometimes it's not required. but yeah, mostly it might be required. But then yeah, there's always exceptions where Japanese language is not required also. Yeah.
You know, everything has like two sides.
Yeah.
And when we see a lot of things in social media, like I said, I've come across people who want to go to Japan and who want to settle there or maybe work there, get that experience. Because I'm sure they have a certain perception of how Japan is.
Yeah.
But everything, like I said, has two sides. So if there's a good side, I'm sure there's a bad side to it also. So if you had to, I won't say pinpoint, but from your experience, something that you faced maybe over so many years in Japan, which was very heartbreaking, very bad, or some bad experience in Japan, something which made you think about your choices that you've made, or maybe made you regret for that bit that maybe I shouldn't have come.
You know what? Personally, I have not faced any such
Nothing
issues
like
at
that.
all. Yeah, I've lived in many countries, but I think for me personally, Japan is, I think, it's the best suited for me. Maybe because of, I don't know, the circle of people that I have, and I don't know, maybe because it's like there's a subtle discrimination in Japan also. So I don't know. I've been able to, I don't know, penetrate in that inner circle, I think, of Japanese society. I don't know. I don't know whether I can say that, but as per my experience, I feel like that. But I haven't faced any such things. But my other friends from India, Nepal, and other countries, I've heard of them facing a bit discriminate kind of like the issues also. Not as so blatant open like in the West. But yeah, it is, I don't know, I wouldn't say increasing, but then yeah, there are, because of too many foreigners coming in. So of course there are always certain sections of society which are not very open or welcome, right? So yeah, we hear this news also because a lot of foreign people also they do quite a lot bad stuff, illegal things out there. And yeah, because of that, a lot of negativity is increasing these days in Japan.
Illegal stuff is one. What is the kind of illegal stuff that happens? What is that one thing? Because every place has its own. Is there drug abuse? Is there weapon abuse? Is there what else? But the bad aspect of Japan.
I see. Recently I read a news where some people from Vietnam they raised some pigs and they killed the pig in their house and then they were selling the pig meat, the pork meat. So yeah.
So that's not allowed?
That's not allowed. Of course not allowed, right? And
as in selling pork meat is not allowed, or raising it at home and killing it is not allowed?
Yes, if you're not supposed to kill it in this certain, I don't know the rules, but I think you have to do it in a certain way. But yeah, you're not supposed to do that. And it was in news also. This and I don't know, people like stealing from
shoplifting
Japan,
and all happens.
Shoplifting the prawns. Oh yeah, because I see a lot of in Vietnamese, Chinese, shoplifting is not allowed. There are a lot of incidents that you see these days are like, no, Japanese fruits are very ramro and good, and very expensive also, right? So like the grape cones, fruit and mango, sabai मान्छे चोर्नु के चोरेर बेचेकोहरू त्यस्तोहरू कति हुन्छ, but then illegal stuff, I don't know, त्यस्तो खालके कुरा गर्ने मान्छेहरू पुरा हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्यो.
Is there drug abuse in Japan?
Drug abuse, it's not so open, but yeah, not so much as
of course,
in the West.
bitra kata to huncha, of course.
There is, but I haven't, but if you're caught, then you're gone. You're like, I think you're deported. Right? So yeah.
No, why I'm asking this is because, we are trying to create awareness and, we want the students to understand, we want the people to understand the kind of opportunity that they have, or maybe they don't. But they should also, once you are there, you kind of get intimidated, and then there are things that can drift you apart from what you've actually gone to do there. What is the return percentage of the students that you've seen? How many students out of 10, if 10 students are going there, how many come back?
Initially, we've not sent so many interns till now. It's probably around somewhere around 200 till now.
Okay.
Nearing 200. But initially, in the first 100, I think around 10% went back. They either could not adjust to the life in Japan, or they were asked by the company to go after a year.
So that's not bad. 10% is 10 out of 100.
Yes. But then after that, we've not faced any such thing. Rather, it's the company wants them to come back and continue.
Back again and work.
Yeah. Because Japan is not for everyone. right? And generally the students or interns who come in our school are like around 18, 20-year-old, right? So high school pass or sometimes they graduate, right? And so they've never worked in their life.
Yeah.
So then suddenly going from Darjeeling, Siliguri, or Mizoram, we have a school in Mizoram also, to, well, generally the work is not in Tokyo. It's a bit in outskirts, manufacturing places like Nagoya. So going from there to Nagoya, right? And then it's everything by yourself, right? Living on your own, a new country, you're earning money every day. You're earning money every month. And so they sometimes tend to be too free and not, be as diligent as they're supposed to be, and not follow the rules and come late to, come late for work. Like even 1 minute is considered late. So if you say like you have to come at 8 o'clock, they're supposed to be there at 7:45. That's the unwritten rule out there.
Okay.
Right. So, and not keeping their rooms clean, for example, that is also a cause of an issue at times.
So do they come to check and all that?
Yeah, they do check. Yeah. And sometimes like things like even tattoo is not required. It's not allowed. Sometimes, I don't know, like, I think some student didn't say he or she had a tattoo, but after going they found they had a tattoo. So that was a small issue. Things like smoking, for example, it's not allowed.
Smoking is not allowed?
Well, most of the companies, they ask whether you smoke, and then generally people who smoke are not preferred.
Why? Why is that?
I don't know the reason why. Maybe sometimes it's just a rule of the company. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, just
But in general, is smoking a culture there in
generally,
Japan?
Japanese people are very, very heavy smokers.
Yeah, because as many Southeast Asian countries that I've gone to, everywhere that I've gone, they are quite heavy on smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite shocking to me when I went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And people were just stepping out of the airport, and right there they they light up a cigarette and they're smoking right there.
Yeah.
So they're quite heavy on smoking.
Yeah.
So in Japan also
Japan used to be very heavy in smoking, and but now it's changing a lot. Now it's very, very difficult for a person. First, right now, smoking in public is not allowed.
Okay.
It's only certain places that you can smoke. And generally people many of our friends come to Japan and they find it a bit difficult to find places to smoke. Yeah, and if you are caught smoking in some public places, sometimes they maybe fine you around 50,000 yen, which is like 30,000 rupees.
Okay.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like vape and whatever is there.
Yeah, vape and
but it's changing now. It used to be very heavy smoking, but now it's coming down.
You said that the tattoos are also not allowed.
Not allowed.
So is it not allowed at a place where you can see, or it's not allowed at all?
Yeah, if it's visible, then it's because tattoo is not considered like good. Doesn't have a good image in Japan because of probably Yakuza, the mafia, and they have this old tattoo thing. Yeah. So I think tattoo started also in Japan. I think a lot of people, convicts used to get tattooed on the forehead or whatever. So if visible places not allowed, and also Japan mateo onsen, onsen is those hot springs, where you go and all this like a public bath. So if you have a tattoo, then it's not allowed.
You just mentioned Yakuza. Have you ever come across one?
I've seen some, and I've seen, because Yakuza are they work with the police also. Nowadays, they work in a lot of industries also, and the police exactly know where the Yakuzas are, because the Yakuza are supposed to report to them that, okay, we have offices here and there. So I've seen some offices that people say, okay, that's the Yakuza office. But now, Yakuza alikati but now there's a new, what is called? Tokuryu.
Okay.
Tokuryu. So that's a new kind of Yakuza. But Yakuza, they had a lot of certain code of conduct.
Yeah, from what I've heard, they are very organizational, very disciplined.
Disciplined.
I know it's mafia, but then still they have, like you said, they have a code of conduct, and usually their mode of organization is they kind of get into the corporate structures, and they have people who are working there, they're taking tenders of laborers, and that's how they get it's not like loot part and all that. It's not like that. It's very structured and very disciplined is what I've heard.
Discipline, yes.
And from what I've heard is they don't directly go and harm also. I mean, like not just go and katne marne testo पनि छैन. Is it true?
It's not there now. Okay. And they're very, like I said, the police know where the Yakuzas are living or whatever. And there's a whole code of conduct, and ethics also was there. I listen now, there's like certain new group called Tokuryu. Tokuryu. So which is like Toko is itself, it means like anonymous.
Okay.
There's a very new way of doing things, and they're ruthless, and there's no code of conduct, there's no ethics at all. So it's the decline of Yakuzas is giving birth to this Tokuryu, which is, I think maybe you can find it also Tokuryu bane. So it's becoming a small societal problem right now in Japan.
Okay. Does that in any way harm, or maybe like not just harm also, or maybe cause any trouble to the immigrants or the local public there?
Because Japan is, I think, one of the most safest countries in the world, I think, that I've experienced. I mean, I travel to US a lot, but I find it I don't go out in the US alone at night after 6, 7 after dark.
You won't go in the alleys and all that.
Alleys, but Japan, anywhere, any time of day or night, whether you're alone, wherever, it's no problem at all.
Is it because the people are like that, or is it because the laws are very strict? Both.
Yeah. But yeah, generally, because people, I think, they're very, generally people are like law abiding and just all
They're very considerate also.
Because Japan is a very high literacy, because all the Japanese have to go, at least there's a 9-year of compulsory education.
Okay.
It is all the Japanese go through that, and their schooling it's not like the schooling in India. It's a lot of things they teach you about discipline, manners, and all that. Like you're supposed to clean your own class, you're supposed to clean your own toilet. So they teach you a lot of those kind of discipline and ethics. So generally, if compared with other countries, I think Japan is it's like a problem.
So as an aspiring student, suppose I'm an aspiring student, I want to go there. So I have maybe 3 pathways. 1, I can go to study. 2, I can go as through TITP, or 3, I can go as SSW. Why I'm specifying these 3 is because of the question that I'm going to ask. So as a student, how much money should I have to opt any one of the path? Like say if I want to go there as a student to learn, to study, how much money should I have?
That's a language school, right?
Language school. Starting from a language school, how much money should I have, which is good enough for me to go there, study, and like I can work also, so that can also support my education or my lifestyle, whatever is there at that point of time.
Till now, generally, if the language school, because language school fees probably would be around 6 lakhs or 6 or 7 lakh rupees, right? Okay. And if you show that amount of money in your bank balance, then that's one of the criteria for getting a visa. Okay. I think let's say you have to pay upfront. I think 1.5 years upfront. I think you have to give 10 lakh rupees just like upfront. You give that. And ekpalta Japan aeपछि ta, I think you can somehow, well, again, now it depends on your how
hardworking you are.
Yeah. But after going to Japan, so I didn't have many friends from Nepal before, but I have a lot of friends from Nepal right now. But I have a very high respect for them in terms of, because they really, really work so hard and so I see people coming with just that bare minimum of amount and going to Japan. Then they do everything by themselves. They don't get any support from the home, from their family, but then they do all by themselves. And even in university, because I told you I was studying in the university, right? So university, generally, there are a lot of scholarships also that the Japanese government offers, right from 35% to 100%.
To immigrants?
For immigrants, yes. Okay. And after you come here, because like I mentioned, Nepalese, they're like around 2.5 lakh Nepalese, right? Oh. And most of them, they're not generally from like very economically strong background also, right? And most of them come in that language thing also, but many of them come in that university stream also. There have been a lot of people doing very, very good. So university mapani, it's, I think, the same thing. It's around 6-7 lakhs rupees if you can show it. Then you can, once you show that, once you come here, you get a visa for 1 or 2 years. Then आफूले गर्न सकिहाल्छ.
त्यो त अब like that's for study. Now again, एउटा 6-7 lakhs देखाउनु पनि एउटा you need to have certain kind of economic background. But again, now we really want to. You are from Darjeeling. I'm from the same we are from the same belt. So eventually, हामीले अब आफ्नो दाजु भाइ बहिनी दिदी बहिनी सबैको लागि केही न केही होइन एउटा substantial we would want to do. We would want to empower them at least with knowledge, with the kind of information that we have, so that we can make their transition easy and like help them make their lifestyle better. Like by God's grace, you've done really well in your life. I'm trying to do what I can, but I think it would add more meaning to each of our lives if we could help the people from our community, from our region, build a better life for them, knowing that unemployment is going to be a huge problem. It still is, but as the year goes by, अझै ठुलै हुँदै जान्छ, यो घट्ने कुरा त छैन हो. So as someone coming from a very marginal economic background, उहाँको लागि चाहिँ के उपाय छ? What's the kind of expectation? What's the kind of money, minimum money? Because a lot of times what happens is उहाँहरूले दुःख गरेर यताउतिबाट मिलाएर पनि they try to go just with the hope that once I reach there, I can make ends meet, and then I can pay off my loan, and then I can do things, and then things start getting better eventually. So is it possible that way?
This much, how much of money do you need?
How much minimum यति चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो, and from there if you come and give you 100%, then you can say that 100% your life will change.
Yeah, so TITP SSW is for them, for TITP SSW ma चाहिँ it's just the amount that's required for your education out here in India. Japan जाँदा you don't need to take, I mean, it's better if you take 50,000, 60,000 rupees logan राम्रो हो. तर I don't know how much I can divulge, but then within 2-3 lakh rupees, 2-3 lakh rupees covers your Japanese language thing for 1.5 years, 1.5 years or whatever. Certain things like visa processing, and in many cases, this is exception. I mean, this is case by case. Even the tickets to Japan are also included in that 2-3 lakh rupees, whatever is covered. Yeah. So that's all the investment you need. And of course, but you have the investment, okay, you put 2-3 lakh rupees and then you study for 1.5 years. But it doesn't guarantee your job.
Yeah, of course, you have to give your best.
So all we do is, not all we do, all we want to do, what we do is try to provide the best education for the students and then help them get into interviews. So, right? And after that, is how do they do the interview? This much is up to themselves, right? Japan, of course, we support them and all that. So, yeah. So anyway, so investments is that much would be required. And there are also, for people probably who might be difficult to even to manage that amount of money, we also, through our partners, we also disburse loans. Yeah. In Darjeeling, and for people living in Aizol, the government, we have tied with the government, they give loans. So we have, if required, they need it, we can help them get the loans.
Yes, and just especially in the Indian education system, a lot has changed. But especially when we were young, they would still be like, he's not that good in studies, he's average, he's very good, the elite, the middle. To a point where there used to be batches where section A is like only good students, section B is like okay, section C is like so if a person is not very good academically, or say in this term, say someone's poor, average and very good, right? Very good usually they clear exams, they go somewhere else, but usually people applying for these kind of jobs and looking for these opportunities are one, they come from a little bit of a marginalized economic background. Second, because they come from that background, they might not have the access to that kind of education. They have the correct opportunities and exposure to get a better life. So if we are being able to provide them that opportunity, does it matter if you fall under a very poor academically or if you're average academically? Does it matter?
Yes, of course it matters to a certain extent. But I've seen people, Hamar school certain students who, like you mentioned, are not very academically inclined, but okay, the two things are, if they are not academically inclined, but if they have that capacity and think to do hard work, they will succeed.
They'll succeed.
And hard work because I've seen Bani, so I think she was there for a year, and then for 2 years, I think 2 or 2.5 years she was there with us. But then it was very difficult for her to learn, and she was a bit slow. But no fault of hers. Of course, all of us now are inclined to a language or whatever, right? Yeah. But then, but she didn't give up. And finally, after 2.5 years, then she went to Japan. She got an opportunity to go to Japan. In Nagoya, she's doing so well now. She was not academically not, but then I think she's into what? food processing or something, I don't know. But then she's doing really good and she's enjoying her life out there. Yeah. So even if you're not academic line, but then you need to have that capability of that hard work. That has to be there. Yeah.
So I think that's fair. That's fair. And especially अब हाम्रो area को जति पनि छ, like from I have hardly seen people who are not hardworking.
Yeah.
If they are getting into it, I've seen that they are very hardworking.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a good opportunity for them also.
But also because we are also while doing this, we are also learning about this. So first initially, we used to take anyone and everyone to a school, but now we also have we've developed, like we have certain interviews in the before the student enters the school also, certain level test also. Then after evaluating that, we will ask them to, accept them.
Yeah. I think that's also a good way, because then you're kind of not giving that hope to them also.
Yeah.
Otherwise they start thinking that like
and we don't want to commit.
Yeah,
we have to be very, very clear that it's just because you work, study here 1.5 years, doesn't mean that it's not one with guaranteed job in Japan. Yeah. You don't guarantee a job anywhere actually. Even after MBA, it's not guaranteed.
So it does guarantee an interview. I think it guarantees a fair shot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
To sum it up, it guarantees a fair shot. It guarantees you that opportunity and that hope. If you give your 100%, then you can create a good life for you.
And sorry, come back to, I think, earlier question, if you want to do well or whatever, TITPM, okay?
Yeah.
So then many of our students, interns, so they worked here in Japan for 3 years.
Okay.
Then even though the company wanted them to come back, but then they decided, some of them have decided not to go back.
Okay.
Not because they don't want to work in Japan, they want to work in Japan, but they want to do something different. Alikati high-level jobs. Some of our students go for because they are pursuing different, they are like studying some other things like, I don't know, graphic, almost, I don't know, other fields. Like 1 year, 2 years, again, they want to go back to.
So kind of
Japan.
about you, I think it's like you mentioned that, you learned a lot of things while doing.
Yeah.
Right? When we were talking about your career pathway. I think
Exactly.
Once they go there, they see more opportunities. They have different avenues that are opening up from them. They see that this is quite possible, and then and also the exposure gives a lot of confidence to them. Right? Second tier, third tier city, getting to one of the biggest economies in the world. It can be intimidating, but it can also be like, the world is your playground.
Yeah, it depends on your life pathway and what is your aspirations, dreams. And like, for example, I talked about that two of the bunnies went to they were working in the same company. One of them decided to come back and pursue, but the other one was satisfied with whatever he or she was doing, and then she decided to continue out there. So, which is to each his own, right? So, so it's, but you can, I think, I don't know, find this so many opportunities.
So do you personally feel very fulfilling when you see these kind of career trajectories for students who've had who kind of like they didn't have hope, or maybe they didn't have that opportunity back home, but it's because of you that you gave them that opportunity and now they're doing so well. It's exactly what
Kabi Code and I, exactly what we wanted to do. Our motto is like changing lives. So we really wanted to make a difference in their lives, but it's not just their lives, it's also the lives of the families. Because many of the students, they come to Japan, they are supporting their family, supporting sometimes the education of the brothers and sisters. And in one case, one of the interns, she's actually built a house in Siliguri at Darjeeling for the family. So when I see these examples and doing them doing so well out there, it's really, really fulfilling. And actually, it also motivates us to do much better. More. Yeah, to do better.
Talking about giving back to the community and Kosari, you feel fulfilled while doing this. Now that now we've just elections are just over now in West Bengal, and now a new government is new government is being formed, and at the end of the day, you, me, coming from the same region, COVID, the same region, we would want to give back to the community, right? And by now in our conversation, we know that I'm also part of your organization. So just as a question, like तपाईं एउटा senior भएर पनि हैन, how can we for people, for हाम्रो दाजुभाइ बहिनीहरुको लागि, for people who are not able to afford this, because I think we can certainly see a trajectory कि उहाँहरूले यसलाई राम्ररी pursue गर्यो भने there is a chance that they can completely change their life. So but for people who cannot afford, जसले यो गर्नु सकेको छैन, त्यो एउटा minimal उ त्यो पनि गर्नु सकेको छैन, what kind of aids can we approach the government with? यसलाई कसरी उनीहरूले aid गर्न सक्छ?
What can you approach the government?
Yeah, the government, or maybe the local authorities there.
Oh, out there?
No, here, right?
Here. I don't know. I don't have much idea about these aspects, but I'm sure in every state, any government, state government, there's some program for upliftment of people in certain categories, or I don't know for this one's all line there. So I don't know, human resources department. So we need to see for us. For VSL, Weather School of Languages. So we've been doing it for the last 4-5 years. So we've built a certain base, and we have a certain Upinsa that we've sent so many people also, right? And with that, I don't know. That's something that we really want to do, approach the government to show them. See, there's many examples that we can show where we've made a difference in the lives of the people that we've sent. And with those examples, so I don't know, we've not really thought about how to approach the governments, but we have proof to show that people's life are, changing. So
like we would, doing this, whatever we are doing, whatever you are doing, and I'm very thankful that I'm also a small part of that organization that you formed. Like you said, that it's very fulfilling when you see students doing good in their life, and then getting, uplifting their families, supporting their families. But also, all of us being from the same region, we would want to give back to the society, right? So, do you think कि हामीले यो कुरालाई लिएर showing the kind of track record that we have, यो लिएर एउटा गभर्मेन्टलाई अप्रोच गरे भने, do you think that there should be some kind of aid where if they support the people who cannot afford at all, उनीहरुको लागि beneficial हुन्छ के तपाईलाई त्यस्तो लाग्छ?
Of course, yeah. If there is aid, then that's like it'll be so much of help. Because we are doing it in Aizawl, and the people from Aizawl, so the government is helping, supporting them, and that is so much of help for them, because for the people who before didn't have that facility for that aid, they had to, I don't know, some of them had to sell their farmlands, or I don't know, some animals or whatever, to get that money. Just to get it is very difficult, intense, right? And but after this aid, it's so much easier for the families also, especially for the families, right? So it really help. It's of course it's a very big help.
Did you see more number of students actually coming to you after the government aided this program in Aizawl?
Yeah, I think it's also. Definitely. I think it's a combination of the fact that we were sending so many, we had like the track record in Mizoram was increasing. At the same time, they would also have that aid. I think it was a very good combination at the same time. The timing was really good. Yeah, but definitely the aid really helped a lot for the families of the students.
So I think sometimes it's not just कि उहाँहरुले जानु चाहदैन, it's also because maybe उहाँकोमा त्यो जरिया छैन अब.
Exactly. कतिजना थियो क्या. So before the aid क्या, कतिमा we saw very diligent students क्या मिजोरम देखि हैन. यहाँ पनि दार्जिलिङ पनि very diligent students, but त्यो अलिकति financially a bit weak भयो क्या. And there's no way that you can get aids. त्यो टाइममा त बैंकहरु पनि थिएन क्या, बैंकहरु पनि दिएको थिएन क्या. And now with MBFCs we have actually tied up now.
Okay.
In those some cases we also give the support to them.
Yeah.
Because we knew that they would do well out there, and then they have done well. And within a year of 7 months, they paid back the money also, right? And so we did it on our own.
I know that
if we can do that with the government, then there'll be more numbers.
More numbers,
seriously.
And I know it does. I know this that VSL does provide soft loans to students, but again. त्यसमा पनि एउटा restriction, we can only do it till a certain level.
Of course,
त्यो भन्दा बेसी हामीले आफै पनि गर्न सक्दैन. But I really feel that
two cases as an exception, VSL from our own we funded them. But now we've tied up with some, through our partners, through the banks also, so they can get loans at some interest. But the ones that we funded was like, of course, interest free, because we really wanted the students to go there, because they were really they had potential. And of course, they're showing it up there in Japan.
We recently we've seen a lot of like we were talking about how government's aiding the students in Mizoram, and we've recently seen a lot of the chief ministers from different states in Northeast also. They've visited Japan on a diplomatic trip. उहाँहरूले गएर निकै MOUsहरू sign गरेको छ कतिवटा companies and they've come back with that. They've opened their own platforms where they're where they're aiding the students to go to Japan and pursue a career there. So, why do you think suddenly the shift is happening and suddenly the chief ministers from Northeast are going there and signing these kind of MOUs, and why do you think this is happening?
Because Tokyo, the last Indian ambassador to Tokyo, George Sibol, I think, I've met him. So he was very, very proactive in promoting India to in Japan. Okay, so that's one. So I go there in seminars almost every week or every once in 2 weeks. So there was a new seminar of some state in India. And then this couple of months they actually did this NorthEast focused kind of seminars. NorthEast machi, there's a lot of ODA provided by the Japanese government in all the states in Northeast. They're giving a lot of support in the infrastructure, development of infrastructure to the governments in Northeast. So that's one. But in terms of the investments, like corporate investments, I don't think this much.
Yeah, it's still heavy to the mainland only. But from what I know, Japan is one of the biggest investors, foreign investors in India. One of the biggest. It's not the biggest, but still one of the biggest. And because the Japanese companies had a growth of almost about 77% in their operations, that's why they double down on their investments and double down on their investments in India. But as of now, there are not many projects that are happening like infrastructure wise or roadways wise. There are not many projects happening in the Northeast, or not that I'm aware of. But human resource, a lot of investments are happening. A lot of MOUs have been signed with Assam, with Arunachal, with Meghalaya.
Right.
But it's still yet to happen in Sikkim or maybe this region of North Bengal or Bengal itself.
Like you mentioned, Japan, I think is the fourth or fifth largest, biggest investor in India. I think they've committed around 5 trillion yen in the next 5 years or so. And you're talking about that 77% growth. So they did JBIC ones, like Japan Bank of International Cooperation. And JETRO also. They did a survey amongst all the Japanese companies in Asia. And 88 or 87% of the companies wanted to invest more in India. They were positive about India. So China, Japan, I don't want to get political, but China, Japan relations, so the companies are not doing or facing a lot of problems. So it's shifted from China to Vietnam around the south. About India, a lot of this investments is getting diverted to India.
So like you said that they do want to invest more in India.
Yes.
Do you think they'll shift towards the Northeast also with more investments? Just your take. It doesn't have to be correct. Just your take. Since you've been in Japan for so long, you have an idea.
Most of the investments happening in India from Japanese companies is in manufacturing. Askal, like retail, like Uniqlo, Mujirushi, and a lot of this company have been on this. They're mostly into manufacturing, right? And the manufacturing belt in India is what Delhi, NCR, Delhi got the belt bayo, Gujarat bayo, Chennai, Bangalore. So Northeast, even Indian companies company. Industry. So China, because this electricity, water problem. If Indian companies are not there, so it's difficult for a Japanese to.
But I think they'll invest in Northeast for what they are best. That is manpower. They can give a lot. They're very articulate with their language, English and quite high literacy rate. I think those factors do make a lot of difference.
Yes. Manpower, that's why they want people from the Northeast.
Because a lot of hirings for Japan happens in Northeast.
Yes, it's
right. So I think this much they might double down on it.
Yes, the Japanese government is really, really focusing on that part.
So taking a end note out of the summary of the entire conversation that we had, going forward, we usually see that eventually what happens, like initially ke huncha bhandakari, everyone's welcoming, and then a lot of immigrants go and then they start working there, they have a life there. All of that is good, but eventually that place starts getting saturated, and then that's when the problem starts, right? Their housing problems, their job problems, and then that's when they start deporting, or then they start capsizing the number of people that they want. So do you see this happening in Japan?
Like I mentioned, US immigrant population is probably around 17-18%, right? Japan is just 3% right now, right? So not yet. I think it'll still take time, because if you look at there were some stats that I saw recently. By 2030, the number of foreigners required in the workforce is probably around 300,000-400,000 people. But by 2040, the number of foreign workforce required in Japan is 1 million.
Okay.
Not the Japanese workforce, like foreign workforce required by 2040 is 1 million people. So, and currently, currently right now it's 2.5 million people working out there, foreigners. So there is still a lot of, and Japanese society is aging society. I think more than 30% or 35% of people are above 60 or 70 years old. So they definitely need people from abroad. But at the same time, what they're doing right now, recently with this new government, is till now, Japan was very, very easy Japan was very easy to go to, like, it was very easy to get a visa in Japan. So there was not much checks and I will say they're making it a bit, not difficult, they're making it a bit strict, so that only certain strata of people or with certain backgrounds can enter Japan and come to Japan.
So a little bit cream society.
Because they faced certain problems.
Okay. So that is not because they're getting overpopulated, not because of that. It's because they want to control the kind of people they want to take in.
Yeah,
right?
Because there's a lot of crimes increase, petty crimes like theft or whatever increases because of the foreigners coming in also is there in the media these days in Japan. Yeah.
So I think from the whole conversation that I could understand, starting right at the top from your journey and then the kind of opportunity that is there. What I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, is number one, if you're disciplined, if you can work relentlessly, if you're dedicated, you sure can have a very nice future and can have a good life there in Japan as well, right? And in near future, there's not going to be any problem with overpopulation, lack of market, nothing of that sort. A student can aspire to go to Japan as long as they're willing to learn the language, right, and have a good career. In fact, someone who is not that sound or that highly qualified, they have an opportunity that they can learn the language and go and make a career there. I think I'm right. All these things.
Yes, as long as you are law-abiding, hard-working citizen, then I think Japan has endless opportunities. And at the end of it, it's not, of course, money-wise also, it's very important. And if you look at, Japan ko average income, GDP per capita in Japan is $38,000 USD, $38,000. Right? India is around around $3,000. Right? It's like 12 times or more. Right? So that's that, but it's not just that, the financial aspect, it's also the quality of life. In Japan is so good, and you learn so much in terms of discipline, respect for others, and overall as a human being, I think you really grow as a human being. There's so much to learn from Japan. The culture, they're so rich in culture and things like that. And for people who are in anime or whatever, there's like so many things that you can do out there. So with all due respect to other countries, I've visited the country like US, but I don't know, Japan is a different level altogether. I have a lot of friends who were working in Japan 5-10 years, and they get transferred to US. They want to all come back to Japan.
They want to.
It is an experience that you should definitely come to Japan one day. And nowadays I have a lot of friends coming from Darjeeling, from Delhi also to Tokyo. Like you mentioned, it's also in the bucket list also. But to live in Japan, to experience the lifestyle, is very, it's not for everyone. But if you get used to it, I think there's no other place like Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm biased.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I'm sure you're biased also for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
You've experienced the life yourself, and
Right.
you're not from Japan after
Yeah.
all. You are from India,
Yeah.
and despite of being an immigrant there, you still have the kind of lifestyle that you do,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's quite well and quite
Yeah.
good there.
I think Japan needs people like us is what I feel. I know. That's why I want to promote also from out here Northeast.
So we really hope that together we can do more work. We can support more people from here to go there and build a career there, and not just for promotional aspect also, but also for the betterment of them as people. So just a ending note. So if you are looking at a student who is aspiring to go to Japan, and if you have to sum up everything and tell that person few things, what would be that takeaway points for that person to give them a brief idea about what they can expect?
Learn the language as much as possible. Learn the kanjis and whatever. The more kanji you learn, the better, the more easier life will be out there in Japan. Having an open mind is very important. Having open mind, trying to understand those cultures, those people. I mean, the country that we're going into, and imbibing it is, I think, is very important. Imbibing and accepting those things is very important, because we live in India, we live in Darjeeling. There's certain kind of lifestyle and the way that we're doing that we are used to, but which is very different in Japan. So I think you should be open and accepting of the new culture and the new way of doing things. I think is very important. And and of course, it's very cliche, but nothing beats hard work, right? So there's no easy path, right? There's no easy path. So whichever country you go to, you have to do work hard.
Hard work with an open mind and accepting of however the culture is there.
Yeah.
I think that's more important, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't come with a better one.
So I think that's fine. That's perfect. So thank you so much, Pasanda, for giving us your time and giving us this opportunity to have this conversation with you. I certainly hope that this reaches out to a lot of people and it makes them aware, and that we can do good work together.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.